Hello, hello. David, can you request to be a speaker? Sick. Can you hear me?
Oh,
David?
wait, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you
Okay,
now.
sorry, it was muted. I was talking to myself, having a great conversation.
Twitter Spaces is really tricky. It is not the easiest thing to work with.
Twitter doesn't need good UX. They're in a market position. They don't need good content. They don't all they need is more mental insanity.
And the problem with yeah, I feel like the feed has changed so much. Like just
Oh,
everything has
yeah.
changed with Twitter.
I also feel like it's not just the feed that's changing, it's the people that are changing. Like
Mhm.
literally you watch nice normal people become psychopaths, like, like,
Right,
because they spend time on Twitter.
right, right. It's so bad.
You're like,
Um,
"No, no, please go listen to a song, do something else."
Yeah, right? Oh, so we started this Twitter space and then, like, there was music playing in the background, and the
Oh,
music, like,
wow.
didn't stop. So
Wow, amazing, love
yeah,
this.
um, anyway, alright, maybe we'll, like, give it, like, a couple more minutes for people to trickle in, but this is hilarious because, David, this is just, like, catch up between
Yeah,
friends,
it's
and
fine.
people are
Yeah,
listening, so I
I
love
like catching up with you, I'd love to hear how you've been.
there you go, there you go.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe we can just start with, uh I mean, I am clued in on all the JokeRace lore from the beginning, like from the like Telegram group chat that started off as a meme and now is like this raging company that scaled to $1 million in rewards. But maybe
Thank
you
you.
can start us with like, yeah, take us back to the lore of how things started out
Yeah.
and that journey.
Yeah, so this started as a game, that I created around beginning of 2022. I think you were part of it, if I remember it, DD. I think you were there for this.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
was I was an LP.
you're an LP? Yeah, right, right, right. Oh my
It was
god.
me, Annika, someone I yeah,
There was, like, a
there was
multi-sig I think you were on. Yeah,
General, right? General, was it General? I don't know.
something like this. Yeah. So, it was like this experiment called, the Joke Race, and the idea was that, you would vote on bad jokes every week. And and essentially be able to earn by voting on them. And so it's funny, we're now, years later, and we've, I think, finally rediscovered, and re-implemented the kind of original magic, which is the vote and earn piece of it, that this all kind of came out of, originally. But, like, part of what I was interested in was this idea of, like, in governance and DAO spaces, like, no one wanted to vote on anything. And, like, you can understand why. It's like, if it's a giant, treasury diversification proposal, like, you probably don't feel qualified to do that necessarily, right? And or you don't want to read the 40 pages of docs. And so it was like this interesting thing of like, well, what would get people to actually want to participate in a community or vote at all? And I was like, okay, yeah, there's financial incentives you can have, right? I think that's part of it. But like, what I was also interested in was like this idea that because it's the second place that wins, you actually lose by getting too many votes or by giving too many votes. And so, like, I was really interested in this idea of like, okay, what if, like, to win, you actually have to work together with others to be able to have like a coherent game plan and strategy. And like, basically, what if you could gamify governance? Like what if you could turn into this game where people have to collaborate? Sorry, I also have construction in the background. Can you hear that, or is that silent?
No, I can't. I don't know if anyone
Okay,
else can, but
great.
I
Okay,
can't. Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah.
Okay, as long as it's not bothering everyone else.
Yeah, you're good.
And so it's like, yeah, like what if you could gamify this? And I think, like, I've talked about this before, but it's like you look at Crypto the Game, like Crypto the Game is this really interesting thing where like every night people vote each other off the island effectively. And they all tune in to do it. But it's this kind of fascinating thing because it's like, well, if no one showed up every night to vote each other out, they would all survive. Like, in game theory terms, the best possible thing you can do is just not to vote. and yet everyone does come out and vote. And so I think that's it remains this kind of like big question. It's like, okay, why is no one voting in the DAO governance proposal, where it's like it actually really matters for your token holdings and it's like really important for you. But everyone is voting in Crypto the Game, where it's actually net disadvantageous to come and vote. And the answer is gamification, right? It's fear, anxiety, collusion, ability to work with others, like all of those pieces. And so like I would say that's like always kind of what I've been really interested in, is thinking like not just the financial incentive, but like what is the kind of community game incentive to get people to play together.
And like, I remember back in the day, like your whole kind of thesis on this is like the point of kind of decentralized systems and gamification is collusion, right? Like
Yeah,
you actually like you like like we like the chaos.
you like the chaos, it's more fun, right? And I also think it's like a lot of these questions come down to, what is the best possible decision? Like, what's the best decision you can make when you're voting, right? And like, I like this idea of futarchy, where it's like you create this prediction market, and then everyone is trying to figure out what everyone else would think. There's an element of that with JokeRace too, right? Where it's like, right now you vote on the winner, and then you collect your share of rewards, and so you're trying to think about, okay, what's going to win, right? It's not just what do I want; it's also like thinking about the benefits of the group and the overall social piece. But like that's a part of it, and I think like that's one answer to like what the best possible decision is. But I actually like, I'm more of the mindset of like the best possible decision is the one that creates the most cohesive group. Like it's the best possible decision is the one where the process of making the decision itself, whatever the outcome is, creates a stronger community that then will be able to do more things together in the future. And I think that that's like it really runs. It's orthogonal to like a lot of our beliefs that we have in the electoral college system of like one person, one vote. You shouldn't share it with anyone. It needs to be yours individually. It's sacrosanct. And like I'm always kind of interested in like, no, like actually, community building processes are about finding others who share your belief and negotiating with them and convincing them and lobbying them and telling them why you believe the way you do. And if they disagree, then they should be able to fork and go create their own separate community somewhere else. And so like, yeah, it's actually, it's the process of the decision I'm more interested in than the outcome, if that makes sense.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense. And I think it also fits in really well with how you guys thought about vote to earn over time. Cause that was like a primitive that JokeRace put together after some time of experimentation, right? And
Oh
so
yeah.
can you explain kind of how you conceptualize that model and how it's been working in practice? Because I know you guys are working with all the major DAOs at this point, Eigenlayer, Polygon, et cetera. So curious like how that's been kind of working in real life.
Not too many DAOs actually. I would say it's pretty strictly protocols. Which is interesting. Some of these used to be DAOs, but only Aave really has a successful DAO at this point.
Yeah,
Um,
fair.
uh,
But you
so
guys do work with like I thought Eigenlayer was part of the joke race.
yeah, they used us to decide what else to support, but they weren't a DAO.
Got
It was just a centralized company, right, using us for that. Yeah, I mean, really any decision you can use this for, right? So art contests, and if like meme contests, like give us feedback on our protocol contest. But like the popular stuff is stuff like demos, debates, reality TV shows, like deciding who's going to win. Like you can get really, I would say like what we're really going after is like voting as a fun marketing tool. How is voting going to be a community building tool that is like really fun for projects to use in a way that helps build their audience as well? Like I would like to get to the point, right, where we have streamers that are using us, and it's like every time you tune into the stream you can earn from it because you can pick what they're going to discuss next, or who's going to be on their show, or who's winning the debate that you're listening to, things like that. You asked how it works. So the way it works is you can buy votes, as many votes as you want on an entry, and then your money goes into a rewards pool, and then you collect your share of the rewards if you vote on a winner or on winners. And that's the really easy way to describe it, right? Is like you're buying up votes, money goes into rewards, you collect rewards if you win. The V1 was really designed that way. And what happens in something like that is it's really strictly based on prediction. You're just thinking about what everyone else is going to vote on. And so everyone just waits until the final seconds, and then they vote, depending on what they think everyone else is going to vote on. There's no benefit to voting earlier. And so that doesn't, it's not very compelling, I would say. V2 is really the unlock, and V2 is like with price curves. And so with price curves, what happens is if you vote early with conviction on what you actually believe and what you care about, you can earn a lot more money um, by participating early. But you're also taking on more risk, right? Because it's unclear, who's necessarily going to win. And so what happens is like in a successful contest, like the Avalanche contest, where they generate like $1.5 million, right? Uh, or close to that in rewards for voters, you have
Mhm.
people come in early, they start voting because they can earn a lot more. That puts a lot of money into the rewards pool, and now there's a lot more incentive for other people to come in because there's a lot more money at stake that they can earn. And so then that just continues to build and build and build as more and more people are coming in, and then they're upping the rewards pool and then trying to enter to earn those rewards as well. And so like that's where I think it really can take off, and it can start to get really, really fun in terms of your
Yeah.
ability to earn.
And are you seeing that network effect play out as more projects are using JokeRace, like beyond Avalanche and so these protocols we've talked about, or where do you see kind of the biggest growth
Yeah.
unlock?
Yeah. What's interesting is like it really, and this has always been true of contests even before Vote and Earn. The financial incentive matters, but the financial incentive is a magnifier. Like,
Mm,
and if you magnify zero, you still get zero.
yeah.
So
Yeah, no, for
like
real. Uh-huh.
so you still need like content that people actually care about, right? Like you still need and it took me a while to understand this. I was like, oh, once there's a financial incentive, everyone's going to participate. But it's not true. It's like people will participate because they care about these projects. And so like where it really takes off is when the projects themselves are competing and it's like a sports game. It's like there's, two teams on
Oh.
the field and they are activating their fan base to come out and vote for them and be able to earn. And I like this kind of sports analogy too, because it's like a team only is valuable to its fans as long as it can compete against other teams, right? Like if it's just one team on the field, the fans are not going to come out and watch that, and they're not going to care about their
The competitive.
yeah. You need
Okay.
it to be competitive and you need them to care and them to be able to activate their own base. And so like the contests that do really well always are the ones where it is different communities that have their own fans and they can go to them and get them to come out. But it's also an opportunity for them to build that fan base as well and to build their community by participating in it as part of the contest. So I'd say like that's really where we see these tend to do really well.
And are you so I know we've spoken a little bit about companies using joke race for decision making, businesses using joke race, communities.
Yep.
Like, do you see those use cases kind of be your be the area of focus for the company, or are you thinking more web 2? Are you thinking entertainment? Like, I know we've
Yep.
used, like, for example, Para has used joke
Yep.
race at events.
Yep.
We had a debating event
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in Denver.
Yeah. It's so
Yeah, and we
chaotic and
used
so
joke
fun.
race, like,
Yep.
so chaotic but so fun. So we were all bouncing on trampolines and actively debating each other. And we were using joke race to vote on the best debater
Yep.
in each session. Do you see like those sorts of use cases be kind of the areas that y'all are the most excited about? Are you most excited about like corporate governance? Like where are the use cases kind of moving here on out now that you've seen,
Yeah.
so much success in
I'm
this?
honestly most excited by fandoms. So like thinking about like anyone who wants to build a community, right? And there's kind of two ways you can do that. One is you can throw the contest. The other is you can play and
Yeah.
participate in the contest, right? And those are both good ways I think to like build a community. So like classic example of this is Eigenlayer being like, hey, what LSTs do you want us to support on our site? And so the LSTs
Mm,
all go internally and they're like, hey, you got to come out and vote for this. Here's why Eigenlayer matters. So they're all marketing Eigenlayer, right? To their
mhm.
people. So like I puts Eigenlayer on the map. Everyone knows who Eigenlayer is now because they're all trying to win this contest. But meanwhile, they get a lot of attention for it too. Like they're getting a lot of attention for participating. They're also activating their community. They're getting their community to come out and like really, have stake in them as well. So like stuff like that, like it sounds like this boring governance decision. It's like, what else are we going to support on our protocol, right? But it's actually much more than that. It's like it's a marketing campaign and it's a community vote. And so I think like that's where I really get excited, like longer term, is actually thinking about like companies as fandoms, but also fandoms are much bigger than just companies too, right? And so like I can imagine like
Totally.
a world,
There's
yeah,
a whole economy around
there's
that.
a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
economy. And I think like I will say like my favorite contests are the ones that have an actual actionable outcome. So like Chip
Yeah.
did this contest with us of what nails do you want us to produce? And we had like 70,000 or sorry, 70 submissions. into the contest for like, different nails. And then people voted up which ones they wanted to see. And then the winning one will actually get made with rev share to the creator. And like, I think that's like a really beautiful example of like, it's actually we're like a user generated content platform where like people are coming and creating
Mhm.
new stuff, but then they're also like, they're not just creating content, they're curating content. And I think this is kind of where the internet goes now is like we're user, curated content platform where it's really about
Yeah.
like incentivizing people to like decide what do they want. So these are the nails that they want and they can select that. And I think you can imagine this for anything. Like you can imagine manga where people vote on the plot lines or the characters that they want to have.
Yep.
As well, and they're able to earn from that. You can imagine it for like reality TV shows where it's like you vote on who the
Right.
best singer is, or you vote someone off the island, right? And it's
Yep.
that's actually where I get, I think, really excited is like thinking about this
And
as like an entertainment tool.
that's, like, actively happening, right? I don't know if you
Yep.
remember, like, there was, like, a series of Black Mirror episodes on Netflix where you could decide the
Yeah.
ending, and it was really
Yeah.
fun. Like, it kinda took you on your choose your own adventure style
Eurovision,
experience.
right? I think does this.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And their way of like protecting against civil attacks is to tie it to a phone number. But like ours is that you put your money where your mouth is, and then you can actually earn from it. And so I think that's part of the fun part too. Is like people who get into these contests and are playing them regularly get really into it because it is, there's an adrenaline rush of like, you know, fighting for something you believe in with your money on the line. And I think that can get really fun too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. In terms of building this, like, I know you guys have been really vocal about the chains you work with
Yep.
and the infrastructure you work with. What challenges did you have to go through to kind of put this app together? I mean, it's not easy to launch on 25 plus
Yep.
EVM chains. It's not easy to onboard people into the app,
Yeah.
get them to pay, put money where their mouth is. Like, what kind of stuck out to you as decisions along the way that were challenging or things you had to navigate?
Yeah, I mean, by far the hardest thing we've done is raise money. Like raising money is just really challenging to do. And as a consumer founder, right? And
Yeah.
it's also one of those things where it's like if you're in a really hyped segment, then it's easy to raise money, but then it's really dangerous because you can raise way too much and overhire and then never be able to match that valuation. And then the market's gonna,
Yeah.
move on. Whereas if you're in a really underrated vertical, then it's actually really nice because you have so much potential and you're contrarian and and no one's competing with you. But on the other hand, no one wants to fund you. And I think
Yeah.
you've gone through both, I think, at this point with Para, right? Like I feel like when you guys started, you were like in a completely underrated vertical, and now it's a very hyped vertical.
Yeah, right.
You've seen
Now everyone's like, "Oh, we need wallets."
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah, 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 which is good, but that's the trajectory you want, right? Like, that's you
Yeah.
wanna start off with no one believing in it, then suddenly everyone realizing it's obvious when it's too late. And, I mean, year 1, my co-founder and I, like, we were fighting for grants at the very beginning, and, like, thank God Polygon came through and saved us. Like, I was, basically underwriting it with my own money for the first 20 weeks. And I was like, and I set like a timeline where I was like, if we can't get any grant money to continue this after 20 weeks, I'm sunsetting it. And we got to week 19 without any money. And I was ready to be done with it the following week. And then Polygon came through and they saved us. And so like,
Yeah.
I'll never forget that because like we would not be here without Polygon. That's I think like a really key example. And then we, started raising in end of 2022, the week that FTX collapsed. It's
Oh
just
my gosh.
like really, really hard
Horrible
timing. And
time. Yeah.
thank God we got some very contrarian investors who believed in us. And pitching is its own art, which I'm mediocre at, I think. Honestly, I don't think it's my greatest strength necessarily as a founder. But like, yeah, it's amazing how much that stuff kind of counts. Everything else other than that, I feel like we've taken the kind of Instagram model approach, which is like you
Yeah.
build an app where you add tons and tons of features and you see what sticks. And then once you see what sticks, you commit to that and you make that the thing. And I think like we've been adding lots of features and like um giving a lot of optionality in how you can create contests for years. And now that we have this thing that really sticks, which is vote and earn, we actually are massively deprecating and reducing everything so that we can have a really clear and consistent UX that's really
Oh,
just
sick.
focused around
Mhm.
vote and earn.
Yeah. I had a question about this. Like,
Yeah,
you talk a lot about strategic optionality, both in the app,
yeah,
both in infrastructure, like you talk about this a lot. Can you unpack kind of why this matters, both for JokeRace, but also like for kind of anyone building a project in crypto? Obviously, we have a perspective on this on the wallet side of things, but I'm curious like how you've thought about this on the app side of
No,
things.
say more. I want to hear your perspective on the wallet side.
Yeah. So on our side, I mean, our whole thing is having optionality for teams. So whether that means like using Para entirely as a modal product, as a wallet product, you can do that. But also there's kind of bits and bobs of Para that you can add and kind of leverage in your app without needing to use the whole thing. So like
Yep.
this is one where you can leverage Para right within Rainbow Kit.
Yep.
But I think this matters kind of as a meta point for anyone building a company,
Yeah.
even on the app side. So I'm curious, like, how you've thought about kind of optionality.
Yeah, I think one of the really underrated parts about working in crypto is that you just have a lot fewer dependencies than you do in Web 2. Like you still have some dependencies, right? We still have some like, Cloudflare dependencies, RPC dependencies, right? But like overall composability and self-sovereignty both mean that you can kind of plug in who you want permissionlessly. And like you should be able to build on top of existing rails and existing smart contracts, right, that are already out there and not have lock-in the way that you used to. And so I think that like that's kind of the joy of building like in a permissionless environment is that you can plug and play right with different providers kind of as you see. And there are like some exceptions to this, but I think like something that really drew us to Para and why we chose Para to use as like for our embedded wallet was because it wasn't exclusive. Like it didn't mean that you couldn't, still be using Rabby or MetaMask. And I think the other embedded wallets have now followed Para in this afterwards. But you were really kind of, if I remember, you were really the ones who kickstarted this and saying like, no, we want to make sure that you can plug us in and you can use us when you want to, but like we're not going to compromise user optionality. And same thing for like ability to remove funds. I think was another one where it's like, one of the biggest fears I think we have as builders is getting locked in to any
Yeah.
service that we can't control. And like the whole point of crypto is you shouldn't have to do that. You should have sovereignty. And so I think the way that Paris respected that has been really meaningful and a reason that we've been really excited to get to work with you guys also.
Yeah. You touched on a really good point around composability. JokeRace is probably one of the most composable apps that we work with, just
Oh,
given
cool.
obviously all the chains
Yeah.
that you work with,
Yeah.
but also like the payments, right? Like you can't do a good payments app if wallets aren't composable and if the experience isn't composable. So clearly people are coming into JokeRace with funds in their wallet,
Yep.
they're leaving with funds in their wallet, they're earning. And so I'm curious with the payment side of
Yeah.
things, like are you seeing people, obviously like stable coins are really hot right
Yeah.
now. And so I'm curious if you're seeing people funding votes with stable coins. Is that still early? Like how are people really kind of getting involved with JokeRace from the payments perspective?
Yeah, great question. So we the way that we operate is we price votes in the same token as the native token of the chain. So, for example, if
Mhm.
you're on like Base, the token for the chain is ETH, right? So we're going to price everything in ETH. And the reason we do that is that lets us bundle the gas with the actual transaction. And we assume like
Mm,
you already have to have ETH on this chain to pay the gas. So like let's just use that as your token, right? That you'll pay everything in. And so that's worked really well. What's been interesting, I think the harder challenge is not that you have people who are like, oh, I have USDC on
yeah.
Base, but I don't have ETH. Well, of course they have ETH, right? They have to be able to pay for things.
Yeah, yeah.
The bigger challenge is they're like, oh, but I don't have anything on Base at all. Like all my money is on Arbitrum. I don't have, and like
Oh,
and so what's interesting is like we initially prioritized like non-crypto native users where we were like, we're gonna let you add funds and just be able to put in a debit card and then you can put $20 in the app and then you can start playing. And we were like, look, this will also help with crypto native users too, because if they don't have any money on the chain, they could add $20 to the debit card as well. But you run into like a lot of geolocational restrictions. You start to run into dependencies again. Like we use Coinbase Pay, worked really well, and then they decided to completely update all of their dependencies with very little notification, and suddenly the whole thing broke. And so what we've
oh
done
well.
instead is last week we announced we added native bridging. So we use Jumper for this, and this allows people just like if they don't have the money there, we immediately prompt them just to be able to bridge it from another chain. And like this has been working really well. We've gotten good feedback on this, and this is like really in demand, so that like people can just move money over. And same thing is true for that example where like, okay, you have $50 in ETH on base, but you have $3,000 in USDC, and you want to buy, $3,000, you can just tap a button and bridge it over pretty quickly. So for now, I think we're in good shape. Definitely, I can imagine a world in the future, right, where everyone is paying, immediately in one transaction with whatever token on any chain they want. But I don't know that we're quite there yet.
Yeah, totally. I feel like, and you've spoken a little bit about this, right? Like the fact that stablecoins are definitely becoming really big, but in kind of crypto native app
Yeah.
UX, people are still kind of paying in these native tokens.
Yeah.
And you've spoken a little bit about the fact that like one USDT is not equal to one USDC.
Oh, that's true.
But
Yeah. Yeah.
right in the fiat world, like $1 in my wallet in fiat is the same as like
Yeah.
having a dollar balance in my like Amazon account.
Yeah.
But that isn't the same for kind of crypto payments.
Yeah, I definitely can understand why apps would do, stuff in USDC. I mean, one missing piece for us right now is pricing in USD, and I think that's something we're looking at,
Mm,
right? Where it's like you could, you know, price it. Like actually, one of the biggest issues we run into, which is so silly, is that ETH is so expensive that, the equivalent of 1 cent in ETH is like 6, 7 decimal places. And so it's like
yeah,
you have to like render that and then no one knows what that means, right? And then you end up rounding things just to try to like not have as many decimal places as possible. And that materially changes the price. Like once you're rounding
yeah,
something, you're changing it by 10 cents, right? So stuff like that, I definitely makes me understand why, you at least want to price in USD. But pricing in stable coins, I think, is different from pricing in USD. Like you can still charge in ETH, but
mm,
price in USD, right? To
yep,
charge in stable coins means that you're assuming everyone has stable coins. And like definitely right now, stable coins are doing well, but that's also because we're in a high interest rate environment. Like when interest rates go down, it's going to be great for ETH and really bad for USDC.
yeah,
So like, I would say like, I think we're still in a paradigm where crypto users are very crypto native. They all have to have ETH in their wallets anyway, or whatever the native token is, and use that.
yeah,
And so like it really still makes sense for us to be pricing in that. And then we can hopefully show the price, value in USD without making them pay in stable coins. Because yeah, I think if you look at everyone on base, they all have ETH. I don't think they all have USDC. But
totally.
you know, that's
Which is so different from what you hear,
yeah,
online about
totally.
where stablecoins are at. Like the decisions app builders are making is just so materially different from what you're hearing online. Yeah,
Completely, completely. And
yeah,
look, we could get there. Like we could get to a world where everyone's just using USDC, but like uh
yeah,
that would require a lot of account abstraction for them to be able to use that to pay for the gas, right? So,
yeah,
like,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
there's a lot more
totally.
steps for that to happen.
I mean, we think about that a lot, right? Like, how do you make money movement as easy as possible in addition to onboarding? Because onboarding is like the first problem, but now you have like money sitting in a wallet, and how do you get it to be the most useful it can be for a user's intention on chain? And that's a really hard problem. I know we're at time, David, but I wanted to ask you like one final question. Now that you guys have crossed this like 1 million
Yeah.
in rewards chasm, what's next
Yeah, great question.
in your mind?
It's definitely
Yeah,
it's definitely reducing the product, right? Like, we've been expanding the product for a long time, and now we reduce it, and so we've made a lot of steps over the past few weeks in that already, but it's like, yeah, we want everyone to be participating in Vote and Earn, and, part of the reason for that is it's a lot simpler for users not to have to figure out like what kind of contest they're participating in on our site. But
yeah,
more importantly, that is really education. It's like this stuff is complex, and like being able to explain it's complex. And so if we can simplify user experience, that simplifies education, so that we can really help people understand how it works and what it does. And then I think really going towards our main goal, which is like building up a native base of voters who are just showing up every day to be able to earn, right, and have fun playing these games. So I think like
mm,
that's really our top priority. I think I've given away some of the other stuff we're thinking about, like USD pricing. We've also just done some other stuff, like we added price curve visualization, we added bridging that I talked about, and so there are still some enhancements that we're doing. We're looking at like a much smoother kind of contest entry page as well. So stay
yep,
tuned. But there'll be a lot of improvements, and I think yeah, like my end game is thinking like, how do you get to a landing page where it's just so clear how this works? Because there's only one type of contest. Because I think, the problem of having a lot of optionality, of having a lot of feature optionality is that you then have to explain it all. And
Yeah.
that's
Well,
part
it's
of
interesting.
onboarding. Yeah.
Yeah, you talk about this a lot, right? Like as an app builder, now you have the tools in place to like really own your future,
Yeah,
where you're kind of not having to like force people through like an external UX or force people through like
totally.
something that you don't really want them to go through. You can kind of like create the experience you want. Very, very cool. Okay. Yeah. Any questions from the crew listening here?
I have to go in
Just to
about
round it
2
out.
minutes, but we can do one question if we want. Or not. Or no.
Or not.
Yeah.
Okay, great. All right. Well, thank you for joining, David. I owe you some texts,
But
but
you're good.
excited
You're good. I
that we
appreciate
chatted, did our public catch up this way.
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, are you traveling? Are you going to Singapore at all
I'm not
for
doing
Token?
Asia. No, I'll do Dev Connect though. I'll be in
Okay.
Saturdays. What about you?
Yeah, I'm gonna do Singapore, but I'll also be around.
Damn, going out.
I know,
Okay.
for a week, so it's gonna be,
That's gonna be so
horrendous
fun.
travel, but
Yeah,
hopefully
send pics. I
exciting.
wanna see how it is.
I will. I will. All right, guys. Thank you so
Thanks so
much.
much.
David, we'll let you go to your meeting.
Thank you guys.
Thanks,
I
guys.
appreciate it. Wait.